The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the individuals participating in the show. All persons described or mentioned in the podcast should be considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. This podcast contains subject matter such as violence and graphic descriptions along with adult language, which may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
In 1702, in North Yorkshire, UK, a man is about to be executed for a murder. Right before, he claims he wants no one sitting in his favorite chair. In fact, he says anyone who sits in that chair would die. Since then, over 60 people have reportedly sat in the chair and then died suddenly. How could this happen? Is it just coincidence, or are curses real? You're listening to the Mysterious Brews podcast, and tonight we bring you the case of the Busby Stoop chair.
Welcome to a deep, dark, dank, moist basement somewhere in the bowels of Georgia. Well, boys and girls, spring break's over. We survived. Countdown, 30 days. Actually, 34 days, but who's counting?
Who's counting? Buddy, let me tell you something. I can't catch a break to save my life. It's the middle of a drought. Spring's here. It's getting hot in Georgia. So I should have been able to predict it like clockwork, but I didn't. I just had hope, and that's where I screwed up. My dang air conditioner broke in my house.
On the hottest day we've had. Well, it's not the hottest. We had another hot day, but it was nice today though with the breeze.
Buddy, I can't catch a break to save my life. It's like, oh, you thought we liked you. No. Here you go. Deal with swamp ass.
Oh, God. Yesterday I mowed my parents' yard and then my aunt's yard before that. And there was that moment that I was like, are we really in this season where either I just pissed myself or the sweat running down my back is now making me feel like I have peed all over myself?
Listen, I'm sorry. Swamp ass is terrible. And nobody, you're never going to hear somebody go, I don't mind swamp ass. No, everybody hates swamp ass. But when it's in your own home,
yeah, that's
when
not
I'm
good.
Sitting in the comfort of my own home, that's wrong.
Especially, and we're recording on a Sunday, they ain't an HVAC guy out there not going to charge you an arm and a leg to come out on a Sunday.
And here's the thing is my dad came over, we installed a ceiling fan, thank God, or we'd probably be at a hotel right now. But I finally got my ceiling fan that fell replaced. And so I always cook for my dad when he comes over. So we cooked, and then the wife lovingly cooks breakfast for the week. She does a quiche and cook bacon in the oven, and then for the smash burgers, cook bacon in the oven for the quiche, and then sausage on the oven top for the quiche. Dog pissed on my bed, so I had to wash the comforter. The dryer's running. It's 78 degrees in my house right now, and the sun is almost down.
Yeah. Is it supposed to get low tonight for you?
I hope so.
You might be looking at a high 50s night.
Here's the thing. Last year, we were at her parents' house in the summertime, and it got to 77 because her air broke, and we went and got a hotel room. And she doesn't live near fancy hotels. Like, we're living at you could pay for the week if you wanted
Heck
to.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And it was not nice, but you know what?
It had air.
It had an air conditioner that worked.
Could have got an 8-ball and some air conditioning.
But here's the thing. How do people live down here before air conditioning?
Now, I worked with a guy that said air conditioning is the one that populated the South, because if it wasn't for air conditioning, there wouldn't be anybody down here. There wouldn't be anybody in the central area. There would not be anybody within or outside of 5 miles of the coast in Florida and nobody living below Macon.
Well, somebody had to. Civil War was before air conditioning, and Georgia damn sure fought in it.
Well, no. Well, I know that, but
Probably why, because we
so mad.
Damn angry, huh?
I said we're so mad, but they also built
That's
houses.
what I'm saying. So
I was going to say they also built houses with
ridiculous.
the trade, well, not the trade, but whatever the winds are, so that you could open up your windows and your doors and create basically a wind tunnel. And heck, I'll tell you this: my grandparents, when I was a kid, they didn't have air conditioning in their house until my granddaddy had a heart attack. They put a window unit in, and that was 35 years ago.
No dang wonder we didn't live past 30 back in those days. It is miserable.
Yeah, it's awful.
You know, they say that, oh, Vegas, Arizona, it's dry heat. It is. It's different. It's still hot as hell, but it's different than Georgia heat. Well, I tell you, one time I was still competing. I went to Las Vegas, and I was like 7 pounds overweight. And I get on the plane, and I'm like, I'll just drop the weight in Vegas because I'm an old wrestler. I've been cutting weight. I've done a lot of things for jiu-jitsu as far as cutting weight. I know what I'm doing. I will go. While my friends who are all on weight don't have to worry about it, they're at the strip club or at the casino or whatever. I put on a solar suit in downtown Las Vegas, and I'm going to run down the boulevard near the Circus if you've ever been there. The convention center's pretty close to Circus. I take off running, and I get about 20 minutes in, and I got a direct message from my kidneys. I did not understand that they could speak English, but they spoke directly to my brain, and they said, hey, brother, we can appreciate what you're doing, but we're done. We're out. If you don't stop now, you're going to have to live without kidneys, and we're going to find out how long you can do that. And I don't know how long you can, but I doubt it's very long. So yeah, that was that. Don't cut weight in Vegas. It's just stupid.
There was a guy that we used to work with. He went out there. They rode motorcycles out there, and he said coming into Vegas, I guess they had gone north first. They come down into Vegas. He said that he got, I think, within 20 miles, maybe more, and it was like you just opened up the oven and he was riding right directly into it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is different, though. When they say it's a dry heat, it's about 105 in Vegas. Feels about like 90 in Georgia. But you just don't sweat the same way. Mm-mm. It's hard to describe if you've never been to both in the terrible seasons. Like that humidity, dude. You just, at the very least in dry heat, when you sweat, it does what sweat's supposed to do. It kind of cools your body off. But with high humidity, that heat just can't escape.
There's nothing like summer in Georgia, boys.
I don't recommend it.
No, I don't either.
I just can't. And my wife has not begged, but she suggested sometimes that she wants to live in South Georgia. And I'm like, why? She said, it's beautiful down there. And I said, yeah, until the gnats hatch. I said, you've never spent a week at football camp below the gnat line like I have.
You didn't have to eat because you got all that protein from them bugs flying in your mouth.
Definitely. Hard to diet down there because you're eating all them damn bugs.
That's right.
He's like, no, it'd be beautiful. I would love it. I'm like, no, you'd spend one summer there and we'd move right back.
Me and a buddy of mine went when we were both in college. His dad's a big quail hunter. He took us down to the old barrel plantation to quail hunt. And it was December and it was 91 degrees. I thought I was going to die. It was awful.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I thought Cancun was hot when I went down there for spring break and we saw a sign that it was 3:00 in the morning and we saw a sign that said it was 97 degrees. And I was like, how do people live this way?
Shep Dog, who does the website, he lived in Arizona and he would send me pictures of him leaving work at 10:30, 11 o'clock their time. And his car temperature would say 106. No.
Oh my God.
No. I'm out. I'm out.
I could not possibly note faster.
Oh, no, me either. So we are covering the old Busby Stoop this evening, but we're also going to sprinkle in another haunted couple of chairs. So,
this ain't haunted, it's cursed.
Well, cursed, haunted, whatever you want to call it. Our story begins in North Yorkshire, England during the early 1700s. North Yorkshire was a land defined by rolling moors, dense woodlands that was dotted with little hamlets and stone-built villages. Life was slow, hard, and largely governed by tradition.
Did you say stone built the bitches?
Nope, I said stone-built villages.
Oh, I thought you said stone built the bitches. I was like, this sounds like a rap lyric.
Killing me.
My bad. Continue, sir.
So life, like I said, was slow, hard, and largely governed by tradition, superstition, and just the will to survive. During this time, most people lived off the land as either farmers, blacksmiths, or tradesmen, making modest wages despite the harsh winters and unreliable harvests. The structure, or social structure, was strict, and a crime was punished quickly and publicly. The gallows were a familiar sight in market towns, reminding the populace of the price of wrongdoing. Literacy was limited, and folklore filled the gaps that education didn't. Tales of witches, haints, and curses were not just folk stories. They were woven into everyday belief. Thus, fear traveled fast. Enter a man named Thomas Busby. He was an angry and volatile and scorned by respectable society. He was feared almost as much as he was avoided. Thomas owned an inn that stood isolated on a country road not far from the village of San Hutton. It was here, among the muddy paths, flickering oil lamps, and the local whispers of the supernatural, that the legend of the Busby Stoop chair was born. And this is a tale that has lingered for centuries. Now, Thomas Busby was not born into the best slice of English life. Not much can be found about his early life, except that by the turn of the 18th century, he had carved out a pretty rough existence in the rural Yorkshire countryside. His reputation was far from reputable. He was known to the locals as a belligerent drunk and a petty criminal. Thomas was the type of man that could be found gambling in alleyways, brawling in taverns, and drinking himself into oblivion more nights than not. Thomas's inn sat along a remote stretch of road near San Hutton, not far from Thirsk. This was the quintessential no-tell motel of the 1700s. It was a lonely settlement, quiet and weather-beaten, nestled amongst the wind-swept moors. The only selling point was that it offered ale and shelter from the relentless Yorkshire cold. However, within its walls, tension would often brew among its patrons.
Who? What did you say? I think it cut out. I didn't hear you.
Who?
Who that?
So Thomas lived at the inn with his wife Elizabeth Aldy, a woman who, by all accounts, was patient and kind-hearted. Her father, Daniel Aldy, was a renowned blacksmith and iron forger in the area. Daniel was a stern and disciplined man who valued structure, hard work, and sobriety. He had no love for his son-in-law and made that disgust very evident. Elizabeth found herself stuck right in the middle. Daniel had co-founded the inn with Thomas and was still involved in its care, which only worsened the two men's power struggles. The pair frequently came to blows over money, business decisions, and most painfully, Elizabeth's welfare. As the tale is told, one grim evening in 1702, the friction reached its breaking point. Daniel arrived at the inn unannounced, perhaps with the intention of taking his daughter away for good. When Thomas returned from town, he found Daniel waiting, sitting in Thomas's favorite chair, drinking from a mug as if the whole place was his, which it pretty much was, but...
I was about to say, kind of.
Yeah, while this was a small act of defiance, to Thomas, it was a grave insult. No one knows for sure what words were exchanged or what rage filled Thomas that night, but it ended in murder. Murder. Daniel Aldy's body was later found in the woods nearby. Now, some claim Thomas used a hammer. Others believe he strangled him in a fit of rage. The authorities caught up with Thomas fairly quickly, and he was found guilty of murder and sentenced to hang. Now, long before last meals, Thomas was offered one final drink, and he obliged by enjoying his pint of ale in the same wooden chair Daniel Aldi had been sitting in. Those present that day stated, quote, "He downed his ale with trembling hands, eyes burning with rage, and then he uttered, 'Let death come swiftly to anyone who dare sit in my chair,' end quote." The gallows were built just outside the inn in a stark warning to others, and Thomas Busby was hung for his crime. The inn soon became known as Busby's Stoop, with Stoop referring to the gallows. The chair remained there untouched, at first just a grim souvenir, but the ominous relic would soon build a frightening legacy of its own. In the immediate years following his death, the inn remained operational. Like many establishments in the rural England countryside at the time, it passed from one owner to another with little pageantry. The wooden chair, however, Thomas's final resting seat, remained rooted in the inn's corner, untouched by numerous people who whispered about by all. Excuse me. Got a little indigestion there. Excuse me.
Oh.
There were murmurs of Thomas himself haunting the crossroads opposite the inn. Locals claimed to see his ghost wandering the area. Ownership records from the 18th and 19th centuries are scant, but it is believed the inn passed between half a dozen owners between 1702 and the early 1900s. Each owner, whether out of superstition or practicality, kept the chair in place. It became both a morbid curiosity and a cautionary tale, a piece of furniture that guests were warned not to sit in unless they wanted to tempt fate. Locals began to take notice of strange coincidences. Stories began to emerge of men who mocked the curse, took a seat in Busby's chair, and never made it home alive. Allegedly, some died in freak accidents. Others crashed their carts on the same winding road Thomas once stumbled along back home drunk. A few simply vanished. By the time the 20th century rolled around, the legend of the chair had rooted itself in local folklore. The inn had become a destination for the morbidly curious, drawing in soldiers, thrill seekers, and skeptics. Some deliberately sat in the chair to test the curse. Many of those who tested the curse would die shortly afterward. This was predominantly the case during World War II, when a number of pilots who visited the inn never returned from missions after sitting in it. The Busby Stoop Inn had become a popular watering hole for Royal Air Force pilots stationed at nearby Topcliffe and Loring air bases. The young men, full of piss and vinegar, cheered on by pints of ale, often stopped by the inn for drinks between bomb raids over Europe. The chair still sat in its usual spot in the inn's corner. Pilots would dare each other to sit in it. Some laughed off the superstition, while others were drawn to it. Drunk on a combination of adrenaline and ale, coupled with a ghost story, men dared to tempt fate. One pilot, fresh out of training, took a seat in the chair during a celebration the night before his first mission. He never returned. His bomber
so I would
vanished.
guess that people participating in war would not return.
Well, I know that's one of the digs on a lot of those deaths that's tied to the chair during World War II. So, but that pilot, that his bomber vanished over the English Channel. There was no distress call, no trace. It said that another pilot was collapsed into the chair in exhaustion after hearing of his brother's death in combat. That same evening, his plane was shot down over Germany. The stories continued, and each man who sat in the chair seemed to meet a grim fate within hours or days. Allegedly, a pilot who, after sitting in the chair, was so spooked by the tale that he returned later that night stone cold sober, apologized to an empty room before his next mission. And allegedly, he was among the few who survived. Veterans began to whisper about the death chair at the, quote, stoop. Some even avoided the inn altogether, not wanting to tempt the curse that was racking up so many alleged deaths. One of the most frightening stories revolves around a man named Flight Officer James, or in some accounts, his name is actually referred to as Jimmy Wilkins. So we're going to go with Jimmy. Jimmy was born in 1916 in Manchester and was the son of a railway engineer and a seamstress. He was known for his quiet determination, strong moral compass, and love for flying. When the war started in Europe, Jimmy enlisted in the Royal Air Force and trained as a bomber pilot. By 1943, he had already completed several missions over occupied France, earning commendations for his precision and cool performance under fire. Stationed near North Yorkshire, Jimmy and his fellow pilots would occasionally visit the Busby Stoop Inn during their short periods of leave. It was one such visit that sealed his fate. One evening, possibly bolstered by ale or the need to defy a looming shadow of death, Jimmy sat in the infamous chair.
That's spooky.
The chair creaked, and a wave of laughter filled the inn, and then nothing but silence. One of the inn's older patrons reportedly mumbled, quote, "He's marked now," end quote. Days later, Jimmy Wilkins left on a nighttime bombing run over Nuremberg. His Lancaster bomber vanished without a trace. No wreckage, no radio transmissions, and no remains were ever found. The curse of the Busby Stoop chair had claimed another soul, and many would follow. So by the 1970s, the tales had grown too ominous to discount. A roofer who sat in the chair died after the roof he was working on collapsed, and a cleaning woman stumbled into it while mopping and later died from a brain tumor. Eventually...
How much later, though? This is what I'm saying. Like...
Well, you would think with a brain tumor it would...
What's the time frame on the curse? Like, oh, he sat in the chair and then 72 years later he died of a brain tumor.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the chair's fault.
Yeah. Could be all them cleaning agents, Agent Orange.
No, you never know. I'm being for real. Like,
I agree with you.
Who puts the time frame on the curse?
The people that write the stories, buddy.
Is it arbitrary or is there a pattern?
Well, obviously there's a pattern. People that sit in it die.
I hate you so much. You're not wrong. You're just an asshole.
Well, if there wasn't a pattern, we wouldn't be covering it.
Oh, man, I hate you for that.
But
you're not wrong. You're just an asshole.
Well, that happens sometimes. So one day a delivery man, let me back up. So eventually the current owner at the time decided, you know what, to hell with it. This is not going on anymore. And he moved it to the basement, hoping nobody would sit in it. However, one day a delivery man was in the basement and apparently he sat in it, and an hour later his truck crashed it and he died. There's your time frame.
Did he know it was cursed when he sat in it?
That would make it even spookier if he didn't.
Does knowing the curse make a difference? I got so many questions.
Save them till the end. We'll take questions from the audience later. Okay. So a bricklayer decided to tempt the chair. So he goes and sits in it, and later that afternoon, he falls to his death. The inn's owner was so disturbed at the growing list of deaths that he finally made the decision to remove the chair altogether. In an effort to preserve both safety and legend, the infamous chair was donated to the Thirsk Museum, a local regional history museum. When the chair arrived at the museum, the staff took 0 chances. Whether they believed in the curse or not, the chair's reputation had preceded it. Museum workers refused to touch it with their bare hands. And they decided that it would be suspended from a wall, locked in place above eye level, where no one could accidentally or defiantly take a seat in it.
Pretty ingenious, if you ask me.
Agreed. Now, safely off limits to visitors, the stories of Busby's stoop chair continued. Skeptics called it a coincidence. Believers called it a curse. Either way, one fact remained. Since its relocation, no one has sat in the chair, and perhaps because of that, there has been no new deaths linked to it. As for the Busby Stoop Inn, it continued to operate, though it struggled to distance itself from the chair's haunted reputation. In 2012, after more than 3 centuries of pouring ale and passing down ghost stories, the inn closed its doors permanently. And in true modern fashion, the Busby Stoop and its pub became an Indian restaurant in 2021.
How? It can't just be the curse of the chair. How poorly and I'm not insulting anybody involved with it, but you're a 300-year-old pub in England. How do you close?
It's the same as some of these breweries that were making a mint around here and they closed. How do you mess that up?
Dude, it was a bubble. That's different.
No.
There was a craft beer bubble. So many craft breweries popped up, so many places that not all of them could have made it. It was impossible.
The two that I'm referring to were pretty well established, and then they just pissed it away with poor management.
Well, yeah, one of them was like, wasn't it like Jekyll?
Yeah, Jekyll was one of them. That was piss poor management.
Yeah, that guy was a crook. So,
and then the one in Chattanooga that made the Moon Pie Stout, I can't think of their name.
The Terminal or Moccasin Bend. Moccasin Bend closed down in Chattanooga, and the Terminal was a brew pub in Chattanooga. The Terminal was my favorite place to eat on earth, and it closed down.
Some of that stuff, I'm like, yeah. But anyway.
But like I said, what I was trying to get to is I think that the people that owned it chose to close it rather than it closed down. That's what I'm hoping. They just got tired of it and said, you know what? Let's just go make a podcast. Anybody can do a podcast and be successful.
Yeah.
We have proved that false, but
yes, we have.
Some people might believe it.
So continuing with the chair theme, there is a set of chairs called the Chairs of Belcourt Castle. And Belcourt Castle is located in Newport, Rhode Island, and is full of relics that have things tied to it, chairs included. 2 ornate chairs have allegedly thrown people across the rooms, sent jolts of static down their spines, and stirred ancient energies no one can explain. Newport, Rhode Island is one of America's oldest colonial settlements and was founded in 1639. By the late 19th century, however, it had transformed into a magnificent playground for the East Coast's wealthiest families.
Let me explain something to you. If I'm sitting in a chair and the chair throws me across the room, I'm throwing hands. Me and that chair got beef now. Like me and you, bro, we're going and we'll die together. Let's do it.
So Newport was the playground for the Vanderbilts, the Astors, and other elites built their lavish summer cottages, more akin to European chateaus than beach houses, but that's where they decided to put down roots.
You ever been to the Biltmore in North Carolina?
Yeah.
Owned by the Vanderbilts?
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whichever Vanderbilt's the one that built it, I guarantee there were several rooms in that house that dumb son of a gun never even walked into.
Oh, I guarantee it. And it's funny you bring that up because Belcourt Castle was built in 1895 at the corner of Bellevue Avenue and Lakeview Drive and was designed by Richard Morris Hunt, the same architect that built the Biltmore Estate and the Breakers.
Look, I want to be rich and I want to have a nice house. That would be my main focus. I don't care about cars. I don't care about shoes or clothes, jewelry, none of that. I want to live comfortably. And that's just that'd be too much house for me. Even if I was a bajillionaire, like money, I would never run out of money no matter what. I just wouldn't want that big of a house.
I wouldn't either.
Speaking of money and stuff, we was on our way home from Alabama today after visiting her lovely parents. And we went to a Podunk gas station just because I used the Upside app. And if you go to the app, you go to the gas station, it tells you to, it'll give you like 16 cents back per gallon. And eventually it builds up and you just get a little bit of your money back. It's pretty cool. I like it. But that's why we went to this Podunk gas station. And dude, there's a brand new Lambo sitting there. And I even confirmed that it was a Lambo because, Corvette's trying to make them look like Lambos now, which pisses me off. I like the Temu Lambo.
Oh, jab.
If you own a Corvette that looks like a Temu Lambo and you take offense to that, that's fine. Come fight me. I don't care. I lost a fight before. I'll do it again. But yeah, it was a brand new looking Lambo. I don't know what the hell you were talking about. I got off on some ass weird tangent.
Money. We was talking about money. So back to the castle. Belcourt was commissioned by a 33-year-old bachelor and horse enthusiast. I got to be making sure that I pronounce things correctly here. And that man's name was Oliver Hazard Perry Belmont. He was a banker. Boy, English tough. He was also a playboy and eventually husband to Alva Vanderbilt. Alva was an American multi-millionaire socialite and women's suffrage activist. She was best known for her energy and intelligence, strong opinions, and willingness to challenge convention. Belmont's vision was eccentric, even by Gilded Age standards. Castle was a French Gothic fantasy filled with moats, medieval flourishes, and vast halls meant for showing off suits of armor more than socializing. Oliver only lived in the castle for 6 to 8 weeks out of the year. That's when you know you got money. You have a castle built, and you only live there 6 to 8 weeks out of the year.
Yeah. I like that kind of money.
I'd like to see how that changes me.
Well, I say that money won't solve your problems. Yeah, but it'll give me it'll solve. There's not a single problem I got right now that money would not directly solve.
Right.
And yeah, I would get different problems, but you know what? I've had these problems long enough. Let's get some new problems up in here.
Yeah, I'm in a total agreement.
Maybe we'll vibe better, maybe.
Yeah. So after marrying Alva in 1896, Belmont would pass away from appendicitis just over 10 years later. He was, I think, 43 at the time. The castle was left vacant and began to decay due to Alva losing interest in it, and she passed ownership to her brother, and the brother sold it around 1940 to a businessman whose vision was to transform it into a car museum. But his plans never came to fruition. So the castle changed hands again, this time landing with the Lorillard family. And they were a wealthy American dynasty known for making their money in the tobacco business. The Lorrillards weren't just looking for a summer residence. They saw the castle's sprawling lawns, stone courtyards, and vast interior spaces as something more, a stage. So by the late 1950s, the Lorrillards were already deeply rooted in the American jazz scene. In fact, it was Elaine Guthrie Lorillard and her husband Louis Lorillard. Can we just take a second to... Why would you do that to your son? Name him Louis Lorillard? As a kindergartner, can you imagine spelling that? But can you imagine the shit he got? It's old Louis Lorillard. But anyway, people with money, I guess, have funny things. But anyway, the Lorillards helped found the legendary Newport Jazz Festival. And in 1954, along with jazz promoter George Wine, the Lorillards opened the castle to some 10,000 jazz enthusiasts. Despite the glamorous association with jazz, Belcourt Castle continued to fall into neglect. The focus of the Lorillards was mainly on the event space, not the preservation of the actual castle. So as thousands of festival goers trampled the grounds each season, the castle's delicate interior, woodwork, and antique finishes suffered from a lack of restoration and maintenance. No major renovation work was done during the Lorillards' ownership. Leaky roofs worsened, the intricate plaster work cracked, dust gathered over forgotten portraits and paneling, and by the 1950s, the Lorillards decided to move on. By 1954, the castle was a decrepit shadow of its once glorious beginnings, and the Jazz Festival relocated to other Newport venues. So in 54, it was sold once again to the Tenney family of Cumberland, Rhode Island. The Tenneys purchased Belcourt for just $22,500. And you may be thinking, man, they got a steal. However, if you factor in inflation, they paid an equivalent to today of $583,545. But I guess just over $500,000 is a steal for a castle. Now, Harold and Ruth Tenney were antique dealers with a passion for European history and fine restoration. They saw something more than a ruined party place. They saw potential. Along with their son Donald Tenney, they were intent on not just reviving it, but reimagining it. While previous owners had viewed Belcourt as a backdrop for social events, the Tenneys approached it as both a personal residence and a living museum. They were deeply embedded in the world of antiques and historical artifacts, and over the decades, they filled Belcourt with hundreds of period pieces. Chandeliers from France, carved wood sculptures from Italy, Japanese samurai armor, 18th century mirrors, stained glass from forgotten cathedrals, and rare, high-backed thrones reserved for kings. Each room in the castle became a themed time capsule. One was set up for 17th century Florence, another Gothic Britain, a third Tokugawa-era Japan, and et cetera, et cetera. The main person who was the public face of the Tenney family was Donald Tenney's wife, Harley Tenney. So the Tenneys opened the castle to the public, offering historical tours during the day and ghost tours by candlelight at night. They were among the earliest in America to capitalize on the paranormal tourism movement, not to sensationalize it, but to respectively share the unexplained phenomena that they had experienced themselves. Over time, the Tenneys restored the crumbling masonry, repaired the windows, and refinished warping wood floors. They invested more than 50 years and brought Belcourt Castle back to life. The Gothic ballroom of Belcourt Castle is a space designed to amaze. Its vaulted ceilings, medieval fixtures, and stained glass windows transport visitors into a time of kings and cathedrals. Within this ballroom sit two unassuming chairs. At first glance, that has terrified guests. It has also unnerved psychics and allegedly hurled a man into the air. And we are talking about the infamous salt chairs. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is a salt chair? A salt chair is a type of medieval high-back throne-style chair associated with a lord or king, named for the practice of storing valuable salt in or near it and for the seat of honor above the salt. In great halls, this was often the only chair with a back. Everyone else sat on backless benches or stools, so it visually marked rank and privilege. The castle's two salt chairs, one English and one French, are described as medieval thrones originally used by nobility or royalty. They are characterized by their tall, oversized backs and heavy carving, fitting the classic, quote, high-back throne. Allegedly, the two salt chairs are said to have been used by French royalty and carry strong, even hostile energies that sometimes make people feel pushed or, quote-unquote, thrown out of the chair during tours and investigations. Since their arrival at Belcourt, they've developed a reputation much darker than mere royalty. Visitors who have stood near the chairs report feeling a chill, an immediate coldness, even in the height of summer. That's all you need. Since your air conditioner's out, buddy, you just need you some haunted chairs.
As if I can just get haunted and they can chill this place out.
Yeah, just get you some haunted chairs.
What in God's name are you spitting in?
I'm trying not to choke. That's what I'm trying not to do. I have got sinus drainage, so I was trying to be discreet.
Shaker.
I was trying to be discreet, but thanks for calling me out, brother. Appreciate you.
What, a salt shaker? I wouldn't have asked. I was like, what is he? What is it? You didn't say what it is.
It's an old medicine bottle.
Oh, that's gross. You're gross. What are you doing? Keeping them?
No, they were in the trash. You want me to pause it and hock up a loogie, or you want me to just mute myself and get rid of it?
I'm just saying, are you keeping your loogies in the medicine bottles, putting them up, putting them away for later, just in case?
I'm gonna put them on the windowsill in this heat and let them dry, and then I'm gonna flick them at you.
Oh yeah, flick them at me. Oh, I would murder you. When I was a cook, I don't like raw chicken. Like, I don't like it. I don't like messing with it. I don't do it if I don't have to. When I was a cook in college, the other cook knew that. And we're in a busy Saturday shift, busy. This is the fanciest restaurant in Dahlonega at the time. He said something smart ass to me, and I said, I'll bust you up the head or upside the head or something. And he flicked a little tiny piece of raw chicken at me, and it stuck on my lip.
Oh.
Corner of my mouth. Like, it came millimeters, or I don't even, nanometers. Hell, I don't know what's smaller.
Micrometers.
From going in my mouth, and I chased him through the dining room out to the parking lot. And I was going to kill him. And the only reason why he survived is he did the simple yet effective go behind a car. And when you go one way, he goes that same way. And I wasn't willing to climb over the car to kill him. So,
well, there you go.
So I'm just saying, if you flick a dried loogie at me, we're going to fight.
That's okay. I'll just find a car and you'll give up.
Yeah, I gave that away, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Your kryptonite was revealed by you. So, side note, fresh out of high school, get a job making microfiche slides for an insurance company. And the statute of limitations is up, so I can discuss this. God rest his soul. A buddy of mine also worked there. And it was one of these spring days, and another guy that we knew from high school worked there, and he pulled out a golden raisin, and my other buddy had left for the day, and he taped the golden raisin to a piece of paper, put it on his desk, and circled it and said, I was thinking of you when I pulled this out.
Oh.
And so when he came in the next morning, he was utterly disgusted. And so the guy that had put it on there went over there and thumped the tape, and the booger shattered.
Oh, so gross.
And a chase ensued in a very well-to-do insurance agency in the basement. And there was an older lady that was our boss, and she was screaming at the top of her lungs, "You boys gonna get fired!" But anyway, so back to the casselle and the chairs. Other people describe the chairs describe the sense that when they get around them as an ever familiar growing sense of dread and pressure building in their chests. Some claim the air around the chairs felt heavy, as if someone was already sitting there or unwilling to move. One woman reported placing her hands above one of the chairs and feeling a sharp jolt like static electricity, but 10 times stronger. Another man decided to sit in one of them. He lasted less than 10 seconds before vomiting on the floor. Now, this was not the most bizarre thing that has reportedly happened when it comes to these infamous chairs. Harley Tinney tells the story of a male guest that was touring the castle, as many did during the public tours. He casually approached one of the salt chairs and without permission sat down. According to the tour guide and multiple eyewitnesses, the man was immediately thrown from the chair into the air. He had not stumbled. He had not tripped. He was lifted and tossed 6 feet across the room as if pushed by an invisible force. He landed hard, stunned, and shaken. There were no strings, wires, or explanation for the incident. And said incident apparently marked a turning point, and the Tinneys began roping off the chairs, warning guests to keep their distance. But there's more. In another instance, a group of approximately 70 tourists were gathered in the Gothic ballroom. A historian was giving a talk when, without warning, a flash of light described as a bolt of lightning emitted from the chairs. It arced across the room and disappeared. There was no storm outside, no faulty wiring, just a flash, and then the unmistakable crack of raw energy.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell, no, no, to the no, no. Hell to the no, no.
I was hoping you had it queued up.
I was
gonna get on you if you didn't.
I was multitasking there, buddy.
Well done, sir.
Yep. So the question is, who or what haunts these chairs? The speculation is extensive. Some believe the chairs are possessed by the spirits of their former owners, refusing to relinquish their seats of power. Others suggest they are charged objects, having absorbed centuries of human injury, trauma, or ritual use. Psychics who have visited the castle describe the chairs as occupied not by ghosts, but by entities. A ghost is the soul of a person or animal who used to be flesh and blood, being who has become a disembodied soul. An entity wreaks havoc and enjoys it. It is a being that has been created from the accumulation of constant negative thinking, negative energy, and fear. They just exist, gathering as much negative energy as they can. They get stronger over time, and they become independent of the original source that created them. They're mischievous in nature, hard to control, and even harder to get rid of. So think of a poltergeist. They often change shapes and are hard to find except for when they want to disturb you or your family. The more it feeds and consumes, the stronger it is and the darker it becomes. So, moving past the chairs in Belcourt, we come to the samurai that screams. So in a quiet hall of the Belcourt Castle stands a remarkable piece of 17th century Japanese armor. The plating is worn yet majestic. The craftsmanship is exquisite. Most striking is the helmet, and that helmet is cracked down one side with damage that seems to correlate with a strike directly through the eye socket. The armor belonged to a samurai warrior bound by honor. According to legend, the armor is bound by betrayal and death. One particular evening, a piano tuner working alone in the castle heard a scream. Not a squeal, not a creaking door, but a human guttural scream echoing from within the armor itself.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell, no, no, to the no, no. Hell to the no, no.
To the no.
That piano can tune itself. I'm out. So
put that evil on me, Ricky.
That's right. That is exactly right. Another tale is that there were some young girls who were touring the castle and they began reporting visions. They could see a face inside the helmet, a man's twisted face in pain staring out through the cracked helmet. Visitors have described feeling cold as they approached the armor or a weight pressing against their chest. One person claims she felt like she was being watched by the armor itself. Psychics say the spirit is that of a warrior who died in agony and now releases the anguish through violent emotion, especially around the innocent or vulnerable. Another relic in the castle's confines is in the music room, and it is, quote, the mirror that refuses to reflect reality, end quote. At first glance, you see an 18th century mirror hanging above a mantel. Pretty unassuming. It has an intricately carved frame, and glass itself is, quote, untouched by time. When people begin to look into it, what they report seeing is not quite right. Guests have reported that their reflections move independently. Some report a turn of the head in the mirror that wasn't made in real life, a blink they didn't blink. Some see furniture vibrating in the mirror's world while the room behind them is still. According to Harley Tinney, the mirror has never been physically shifted on its hooks. It doesn't tremble, it doesn't swing, and yet every object reflected in it appears to carry some level of distortion, like a ripple. And finally, we have the monk that moves without walking. So now we come to one of the most tireless and location-specific hauntings in Belcourt history. A statue of a brown-robed monk, carved from wood and imported from Europe. It once stood near the staircase in the castle. It was simple and stoic, but the energy around it was anything but peaceful. Harley Tinney reported seeing a full-bodied apparition, a monk in a matching robe, standing near the statue late one night. What sent a chill down her spine was not the appearance of a ghost, it was the pattern of the sightings of said ghost. Wherever the statue was moved, the monk would follow. If she moved it to the sitting room, the ghost would appear there. She moved it to the hallway, it was seen there. So she gets the bright idea. How about we put the statue in the castle's chapel? And after this, the sightings stopped. Psychics suggest that the spirit was finally appeased and granted a sense of belonging that it had lacked elsewhere in the castle. Here's a thought. Let's put the statue of the monk in the chapel. That would have been my first move, especially after seeing the ghost the first time. I wouldn't have moved it around like a chess piece. But I don't own a $500,000 or $1 million castle, so there you go.
It's a damn shame you don't.
I know.
We should be doing this podcast from $1 million castle.
We can just do it at the Biltmore.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
I'm sure we could get in one of them tours and find us a room nobody uses.
It's possible.
So now in 2012, well, not now, but moving forward in the timeline, in 2012, after 56 years of ownership, the Tenney family sold the castle mostly due to the fact that Harley was just too old to take care of it anymore and her husband passed away. On November 12th of 2012, Belcourt was purchased by Carolyn Raphaelian, owner of the Cranston, Rhode Island-based company Alex and Annie, for $3.6 million. Raphaelian is currently restoring and renovating the castle, which she reopened in the summer of 2014 as a tour house, art gallery, and event space under the business name Belcourt of Newport. Raphaelian reports she has already spent $5 million on renovations, including $3 million for a new roof. There is no mention of what happened to all the items that the Tenneys had in the castle. And there is no solid public evidence that the famous haunted objects, i.e. the 2 salt chairs, the screaming or possessed suit of armor, and the monk statue, were removed or sold off. A lot of sources either describe them before the sale or simply assume they are still part of the collection of Belcourt. Paranormal and history write-ups after the sale still talk about these items as if they remain part of Belcourt's haunted collection, but they do not clearly state whether each object stayed in the house, was moved off-site, or was lent/returned later. A 2022 PBS segment on Rhode Island legends filmed after the Tenneys sold it shows the salt chairs and the haunted armor being discussed at Belcourt, implying they were still physically present at the time. A 2025 Instagram photo for a Belcourt ghost event mentions Belcourt's most haunted relics, the infamous monk statue and the salt chair, returned home as part of the headlines, which implies at least one salt chair and the monk statue had left the property for a time and were then brought back for display. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of haunted chairs and other stuff you don't mess with.
Well, let's get to the Busby, Stoop. Do you believe in curses?
Yes.
So you do. You believe in curses.
I do.
Let's say like the curse of the billy goat.
How about the curse of the Bell Witch Cave?
No, do you know the curse of the billy goat?
No, I don't. Oh, yeah. Sorry, it took me a second. Yes.
Well, say what it is, so you prove it.
So the billy goat was either sold. Was it sold and the Cubs couldn't win one? What was it? What?
They wouldn't let the owner bring the billy goat inside.
That's right. And that lasted for what? Well over 100 years. And then you got the curse of the Babe, Boston.
Bambino, yeah, there's that one. What my question is what causes the curse? What do you think could cause a curse?
A wrongdoing.
It's simple as not letting your goat come to the damn ball game?
Well, no, I think it's just a simple wrongdoing of like they probably wasn't just, no, you can't bring that goat, and then he turned around and said, oh, I cursed this stadium. Not that. I'm thinking there's more to the original story, and it's boiled over, and then it's cursed. like with Babe Ruth, he got so pissed off that he was traded. That's when he made the statement.
Well, what I was trying to get at is, do you think this could possibly be a Tulpa type situation where enough people start to believe it comes true?
I think that has a lot to do with it at first. I do agree with that. And that's almost like that, the entities that they talk about at Belcourt. It feeds on the stories, and then everyone is kind of apprehensive and a little bit of anxiety when they walk by it. So, yeah. I could see a tulpa being an explanation.
I think so. I think there's something to that.
But I will say, putting it up on the wall probably would have been a good idea way back when you even thought that the Flyboys were meeting untimely deaths. I don't know. I ain't messing with it.
True that. No thank yous.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our lovely episode tonight. So we get into our recommendations. There was a my son is on like this nuclear disaster fix, and we've watched Chernobyl, which I recommended, and then we just finished the Fukushima documentary or docudrama called The Days. It's on Netflix. And if you are interested in that kind of stuff, it's pretty good. It goes through all of the stuff that happened at Fukushima, and it's basically a conglomeration of the plant manager's memoirs, his testimony, somebody in the prime minister's office, and somebody else. They explain how they did it or what they combined at the end of the last episode. But it's pretty good.
I'm not into those type of documentaries.
I was kind of apprehensive, but I will say Chernobyl, of the two, Chernobyl's hands down the best. And it does a very good job of historically doing it without some creative licenses.
Well, I'm only recommending this to make my wife laugh. But she's a creature of habit. When she has like a really bad day or something, she wants to fall asleep to the same crappy movie. But it's one of those where it's like so bad it's good. You know, it's a terrible movie, but hell, it's entertaining. And what more do you want from movies? Do you want to think, or you want to?
I want to be entertained.
You want to watch explosions, but we had to go to Alabama because she had to help out at her old job to help train the new person. So she had 2 long days at work, and we had to, every time she wanted to go to bed, she's like, we got to do this. We're going to watch this. First night, I'm like, okay. She fell asleep halfway. I finished it. I've seen it 30 times. Next night, she's like, we're going to watch it again. And I was like, no, we're not. And I said, we better not.
You better not. You better not.
But no, she made me watch it again, and she purposely stayed up to watch it all.
Oh, touche.
I would like to not say the name of it to see who would guess it by the actors, but see if you know the movie. It's got Patrick Swayze in it. It's got Meatloaf in it.
Oh.
And it's got Randy Travis in it.
Black Dog?
Yes. I was sorry if that yes was very loud. I was very surprised you got it. Yeah. Black Dog.
I'm going to tell you up front, I have never watched it.
Oh my God. It's pretty good. How did you know it if you didn't?
Because Meatloaf and Patrick Swayze together, that's the only movie it could be.
Well, that's true, but I just didn't know if you ain't seen it. How you gonna know? But it's awful, but we like it. I like some bad movies. And so, like, I used to go to sleep to Waterworld. That's a shitty movie.
It was a shitty movie. It was a very shitty movie, but I've watched it. Like, it was another one of those movies that if I didn't have anything else to do when I was a kid and it was on something, I'd watch it.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's a big thing kids have lost completely today with the apps is there's so many movies that I saw just because it was on and it was the only thing on that I now love.
I want the knife.
The perfect example. Do you think I would ever have watched The Golden Child if it wasn't on and it was the only thing on? And I'm like, hey, I like Eddie Murphy. Oh, let's see what this is about. And yeah, I want the knife, please.
What about?
I probably saw Coming to America. Speaking of Eddie Murphy, and that's one of the best damn movies ever.
I think I sent you that long reel of he whooped Joe Lewis's ass.
He did.
He did.
Major League, probably would have never seen. I know for a fact that I would have never watched Bull Durham in my entire life because I'm not a huge fan of Kevin Costner. I wasn't at the time. But, yeah, I would have never watched Bull Durham unless it was on cable, and I was like, screw it, I'll watch it.
Big Trouble in Little China, too.
That's a good one. The Great Outdoors with John Candy, because I'm like, I've never heard of this movie, but I love Dan Aykroyd, and I love John Candy. Let's see what that's about, and one of my favorite movies.
He ain't done.
Kids today, man, they'll never know the joy. Never know the joy.
Nope, they won't.
But that's why, like, nowadays, I know I'm not on the old kids today rant, but like kids today don't really know much about previous TV shows because they're never choosing to watch it. But dude, Nick at Night, I watched The Monkees. I watched freaking Munsters. I know about Green Acres. All these shows that were on way before I was ever born because of Nick at Night.
You know why I know about The Monkees is because when I was a kid during the summer, they had it on after my grandmother's stories were over, and we had to watch The Monkees before cartoons came on.
Dude, I love The Monkees.
I do too.
Another great show that I think all 5 people on it are hilarious, and the only reason why I know about it is because when we would go to my grandmother's house, they had Comedy Central, and we didn't. So I watched Comedy Central 24/7 at my grandmother's house just because I couldn't watch it ever. And that's The Kids in the Hall. They're geniuses. They are very funny, underrated comedians.
Well, think about what stuff that couldn't be aired now was In Living Color or Mad TV.
Oh, I loved In Living Color.
I did too. Fire Marshal Bill.
Homie, don't play that. But yeah, that's one thing I really truly do miss is just being able to flip through channels. Because you can't really do it, even if you have satellite now. You have to go to the guide. You have to scroll through the guide. And then you pick the channel. It's like, man, no, you're just flipping. Then you had the old remote that you could have. They had previous channel. So, you were on channel 65 watching Kids in the Hall, and you went 5 channels further up and you found a movie. So you're just on previous channel them because once one goes on commercial, man, that was good stuff.
That's the way my granddaddy kept up with NFL games on Sunday. The old previous channel.
It's very hard. It's harder to watch college football now.
It's awful
because you can't just switch back and forth.
The only
find out if it's on Disney Plus and ESPN Plus. Oh no, this one's on CBS. So now I got to go to Paramount Plus, and I got to close the app, open the app.
Speaking of which,
it's not the same.
Did you see where there could be a major windfall for viewers and NFL owners because they did the anti-monopoly trust for the NFL, and they're supposed to give their games for not charge anybody, and somebody has finally gotten pissed off at all like you said, all these other channels now if you want to watch a Thursday night game or a Monday night game or the Sunday late game. And so they filed a federal lawsuit against the NFL, and they're like, we don't see the NFL winning this. And what it would mean would be the NFL loses the TV contracts, and then it could be worse because they alluded to this. Then you could have like the Yes Network carrying the Giants, the Jets, and all that stuff, and then like Sports South carrying everything down here. And then you would have that little thing that you'd have to have those channels.
Well, I didn't see much about it other than when it began and they were explaining that, say, if you wanted to watch, if you were a diehard NFL fan and you wanted to watch every NFL game of the whole season, how much it cost you. And it was something like $970.
Because you got to have NFL Red Zone, ESPN, Paramount, Amazon
YouTube,
Prime.
YouTube TV is the only place with Sunday ticket, but if they're not playing on Sunday, that's why, that's why they started doing the Thursday night games. You got to have Amazon Prime for Thursday night games. You got to have Peacock for Sunday night games. It's ridiculous. And here, like, we're in the heart of Georgia. You're a Georgia fan. I'm a Tennessee fan. But when it comes to other teams in college football, if I wanted to, I could literally watch every single solitary USC game, every single solitary University of Washington game, every single solitary Notre Dame game. I would never do that, but I could because they are available to watch. I'm a New York Giants fan, and I am able, if I'm lucky, to watch 3 games a year but it has to be on Amazon, or it has to be on Peacock, or it has to be on ESPN, because they do not play the New York Giants games in Georgia. They only play the Falcons, or they only play the Titans on CBS, which is a Chattanooga channel up here.
Well, I'm sure you remember the blackout games too. Like if you were a Falcons fans and they didn't sell out, it wasn't aired.
That is crazy. If the game doesn't sell out, we're not showing the game in the city it takes place in.
Right.
It is criminal.
And that was the beauty of living where we lived, because we could get the Chattanooga stations and still watch it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where we had channel 5, which was Fox, and then channel 11, which was Fox in Chattanooga. Go to 5 and it's blacked out. Go to 11, you can watch the game. That's crazy.
Same thing with like Monday Night Football. They would play something off of WSB TV Channel 2 here, and then if it was blacked out, you could go to Channel 9 in Chattanooga and watch it there. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But anyway. Oh well.
I'm just saying, with kids today, getting back to kids today, their NFL viewership has got to be so far down what it used to be, and then they've got all these barriers to see. Luckily for me, not luckily, but the Giants have sucked for like 5 years straight, so I've not even missed a game. Like, I don't care. But if this was like Eli Manning's year that he beat the Patriots, but both times he beat the Patriots, those were great seasons.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been able to watch any of them.
I
literally watched 10 minutes of a New York Giants game this year. That's it, because I just happened to turn on Amazon Prime for whatever I was looking for, Reacher or whatever, and I saw that it was on. It said New York Giants versus somebody live, and I was like, oh, I clicked on it, and there was 10 minutes left in the game, and the Giants were getting their ass kicked.
Another thing I saw that these kids these days don't have to worry about is not going to see the movie in theaters, because used to it was almost a calendar year before it came out on DVD or VHS. Yeah.
I missed the good movies in theaters though. Like, I'm damn sure going to go watch the new Avengers in the theater.
Yeah. And I saw a thing with, it costs so much now to make a movie that these studios are like, man, if we're not going to get if we're not going to at least break even or make 10% more, we're not stroking the check.
Yeah, they're not going to take a chance on some indie film like Good Will Hunting anymore.
Right.
They're not going to. They're going to do the Avengers 900 times, and because they damn sure know that I'm at least going to watch every one of them.
Well, and they're also redoing everything. Like Matlock had a female lawyer in it. They're redoing Murder, She Wrote. Yeah,
she's a great actress.
They're redoing Murder, She Wrote. Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be Murder, She Wrote.
No, I like Jamie Lee Curtis, but like, sometimes you got to experience a movie in a movie theater, and the good. This is going to sound bad at first, but I mean this in the best possible way. I went and saw the last Spider-Man, No Way Home or whatever. And There were two African-American individuals, both male, probably early 20s, maybe early 30s. I don't know. I didn't see them. They were sitting directly in front of me, row in front of me. And we all know the stereotype I'm going to bring up. And it was true, but in the best possible way. They cracked me up the whole movie. But the best part is if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert, hit fast forward twice. When Tobey Maguire comes out of that portal, one dude leaned up, and I swear he leaned up as far as he could without getting up, and he went, Toby! I was like, it was a good experience. Hey, don't go in there, bitch. He got a knife.
Well, going back to movies that I wouldn't have went to the theater, watched Training Day. That's a hell of a movie. I watched it when it came on TV.
I used to go to sleep for that a lot too when it was on Netflix. I don't know. It's streaming now somewhere, but hails bells.
Yeah. Yeah, we're solving.
Nowadays, if I really truly just need to zone out and try to sleep, I'll put on Justified. Because I don't have to look up to know what's happening on Justified. I can tell you where he's standing, who's in the room that's not speaking. He's talking about, what part of Kentucky he's currently in.
The best, I saw that and I'd forgotten about this clip, is where the guy was like, the 21-foot rule? And he's like, do what? And then he stabs himself in the neck.
I said something.
I know. He goes, if you'd have said something, we could have played.
I said something. I swear to God. But one's fun. We've been off on a long tangent. That's okay though. I think people might enjoy it. But if you don't know the show, his station, his office is in Lexington, and he goes to Harlan County a lot. And I looked that up one time, and I'm like, it's like a 2.5 hour drive. He's doing that every day, back and forth. And I thought about that, and I laughed because I'm like, they just cut. He's in his office and he's standing in Cousin Johnny's bar. And then one episode, Art goes with him, and he says, how the hell do you come down here every day? He's like, I listen to a lot of books on tape.
Yeah, yeah. So when my son was at Kentucky Welding Institute, he was an hour and 15 minutes east of Lexington, and Harlan was another hour from him. So yeah, I mean, it's not and getting to Harlan is through those curvy ass mountain roads too. But anyway,
well, you know what they say, you'll never get out of Harlan alive.
That's right.
You'll never leave Harlan alive.
All right, you got anything else there, Slappy?
Well, do you have anything else for Old Man Shakes Fist at Cloud, we just previewed our newest podcast. Old Man Confused About the World.
Yeah. Will you come change the time on my VCR?
My work computer will not change the time to current. My work computer is an hour behind. It will not update. I have reset it. I have shut it down. I have turned it off automatic update and did the manual, and it will not.
Did you go into the time zone thing?
Yeah, I did everything you can do to this thing. I've done.
Man, it's a shame. What's this world coming to?
I don't know. Speaking of which, Georgia's about to change to Atlantic time. So half the year will be in Eastern Standard Time, and half the year will be in Central Time. I
don't think that'll pass.
I hope it don't, because
I really don't. I saw another thing about the time. They said if you did away with daylight, or if you went strictly daylight savings, like it would not get daylight, and on the East Coast, something crazy like 9:30 in the morning. It would be like high crime rate.
Hey, criminals don't get up early. Well, they stay up all the way.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Watch that thing about the Alaska State Troopers. When it gets up there when there's no daylight, they're running around all the time. But anyway. All right. You got anything else there, old man?
You know I don't.
Deuces.